General Mike Flynn, thank you for being on the show with American Pulse, and thanks for your time. Question about Egypt. What do you think of Egyptian position now in the Middle East in terms of fighting terrorism and the situation in Egypt?
Yeah, so first of all, I think that I think the leadership that President el-Sisi has provided to Egypt, the United States should embrace that leadership, because if President el-Sisi, if something were to happen to him, I'm afraid that Egypt would collapse. The fight that the people of Egypt are involved in today against terrorism, against organizations like the Muslim Brotherhood that President el-Sisi has designated as a terrorist group, organizations like Al-Qaeda, organizations like Ansar al-Sunnah, that are in the Sinai, and some of these other groups that are there, that are Daesh, whatever you want to call them, but these radical Islamists, and that are all sort of working together to cause the downfall of the Egyptian government. We need to, the world needs to wake up, because if something were to happen to Egypt, if let's say Egypt was to go into a civil war, that would be so dangerous, not just for the Middle East, it would be, or the Arab world, it would be dangerous for Africa, because Egypt is one of the richest culturally countries in history. So, and I think President el-Sisi has demonstrated extraordinary courage. Intellectual courage, probably more than physical courage, with his stand against the radicalization of the Islamic ideology. Like he said, and I'll paraphrase a bit, but like he said, do we expect 1.7 billion Muslims to kill the other 7 billion on the planet? No, obviously not. We need he called for a revolution in this ideology. Exactly. In Al-Azhar Mosque, he spoke to them all. He spoke to the world, and the world should have embraced that and that message, and we should have gotten behind it, because now it's never too late. But now I think what we need to do is we need to really look at what I am calling for, and I write about this in my book. I actually write about President el-Sisi in the book that I just published. What's the name of the book? It's called, the name of the book is The Field of Fight: How to Win the Global War Against Radical Islam and Its Allies. And I use President el-Sisi as an example of what right looks like in the fight against the radicalization of the Islamic ideology, and what he has taken on. But he can't do it alone. He cannot do it alone. We need to create what I call a new 21st century alliance, and this is where the Arab world, and I see President el-Sisi as one of the leaders of that world, that we need to come together and figure out sort of what I describe as like an Arab NATO-like force, okay? And this is different. This is not, the GCC and a couple of guys and a couple of, countries coming together. This is creating a new alliance, a new 21st century alliance. Without this alliance, we are going to continue to piecemeal ourselves, and the radical Islamists that are out there, these various groups, they will eat us up. They will eat us alive. So
the Egyptians feel that they were betrayed or let down by the American administration at the time of the two revolutions, and Egyptians had always had a very good relationship to the Americans, and they felt like we were down.
Yeah, I think that my take on it is that we can't let our friends down. And we have to be, the United States, I think we have to demonstrate more certainty, more confidence, more assurance, whatever the right word is, and how that translates into Egyptian. But we have to provide more confidence for our friends in the relationship that they have with us, so they know that they can rely on us.
I'm afraid it's going to be a lot of work.
Yeah, it's going to be an awful lot of work. And like I said, I think that Egypt is... Egypt, with President el-Sisi, must survive this fight that they are in. And we, the international community, and particularly the United States, are going to have to help. We have to help. If we don't, we could end up with something far worse, and Egypt could turn into even a worse situation than what we see in Syria right now. I mean, that is very, very possible.
Thank you so much for
Thank
your time.
you. Yeah, nice talking to you.